Welcome back into League of Our Own with myself, Goran, and the icon, the legend, Adam Blair. Blairy, good to see you. I love this time of the week, mate. It's awesome to catch up with you as always. How have you been, man?
Yeah, I'm good, Goran. Always a pleasure, brother. This time of the week we get to just chat rugby league, and obviously before we jump on, we catch up on our couple of days, our weekend, our last week, and it's cool, bro. And to the point, just having a laugh about our setups, our setups at home. Let's be honest, Goran, we're looking for sponsors, We're actually looking for sponsors and anyone that can help us. Because I'll go through my setup right now.
Please do.
I'm sitting on my outdoor chair. You most probably can't see it, but there's like the hand parts.
Yeah.
But where my camera is set up, I have a dog crate. And then on top of my dog crate, I have a NutriBullet box.
I mean, this is next level professionalism here on League of
and
Our
then
Own.
there's my laptop, and then my phone camera is straight on me. So the lens that we're going through, man, to do what we're doing, I can't say we're not giving it our best shot, and still delivering the beautiful game of rugby league, Warriors content, and also New Zealand rugby league players in the NRL. How good, man.
And so this is the Adam Blair setup compared to the Goran Paladin setup. I've got my laptop perched upon 6 cookbooks, which is on top of a cardboard box, which is on top of 2 chopping boards. And I've got all sorts of other stuff, cables running everywhere. But as you say, mate, these are the lengths that we go to discuss Warriors Rugby League, Kiwi Rugby League, and hopefully get the message out there to Kiwi Rugby League fans, mate. Hey, look, you were a bit of a firebrand in your day. I don't know. Just a smidge, mate. You know,
just on the line.
You just like to live life on the edge for 15 years straight. But I think you would have probably taken a little bit of pleasure in seeing Mitch Moses rip a new one for Talon Da Silva, the young, former West Tigers, Eels recruit. He played some of the worst rugby league over the course of 5 minutes. I probably haven't seen rugby league that bad. I was thinking about this the other day. Since Paul Carriage, fullback for the Eels, back in 1998, the prelim final against the Bulldogs, where everything he touched, it was like the reverse Midas touch. Everything he touched turned to absolute dog shit.
You know, when you got someone, when the game's on the line, Goran, and I get it, he's only a young man, he's just come to the club and he wants to impress. But when the game's on the line and you've got the big dog wanting the ball,
just pass him the ball.
You just got to find a way to get him the ball. It was crazy the last 5 minutes of their game, and you would have been on the edge of your seat watching your Parramatta Eels and trying to cheer them home. And I reckon you would have been blowing up to the TV screen saying, just get the ball to Mitch Moses.
That's your one job. Your one job is to pass it to Moses. Just do it.
Well, that's your job, In those moments, I reckon your job is to find the big dog, which is Mitch Moses, so that he can ice those moments. And I reckon he would have copped a fair bit of spray from Mitch throughout that last 5 minutes. And if they would have lost that game, there would have been so many moments that they would have looked back on and gone, if you just did it just then, or you could have just did it just now, things could have been different. Credit to the Parramatta Eels and Mitch Moses, the Iceman. He just gets things done. Big game player. The Parramatta Eels, like you said, Goran, they are playing some good football, and I'm sure you're proud of them. I'm sure you're proud of them.
They've come a long way since that absolute flogging in round 1 at the hands of the Melbourne Storm. But the reason I bring it up is because you did live life on the edge for 15 years and for 51 tests for the Kiwis. You would have seen some sprays, you would have given some sprays, you would have copped a few as well. So take us down memory lane, mate. What were some of the worst sprays that you delivered or received?
I'm going to say I received a spray, and this is not from a player, it's from a coach, the good old Craig Bellamy. And I think there's a lot of people that played at the Melbourne Storm at least would have got one spray in their time down there. And I was down there for a fair bit, 121 games I played for the Melbourne Storm. Pre-season, one of the pet hates down in Melbourne that Craig Bellamy hated players doing was taking taking a show. And because I lived life on the edge when I played the game, hence why I never took any shows, because I would take people out and take them to the ground. That was pretty much the most of my career. So I didn't want to get sprayed again, but the spray was like, Blairy, what the F do we not do at this club? And that was when I reckon I was only maybe 17, Goran, 17, 18, still learning. Craig Bellamy's just turned up, 2003. I've come through there, and he's just sprayed the hell of me, and everyone's just looked around. Cam Smith, Billy Slater, all those boys have just gone, come on, mate, he's only 16 years old. I don't give a F how old he is. We take no shows down here. That's what it was like. So that's a spray from a coach. I reckon the other spray, and I reckon a lot of people can relate to this one if you're a footballer, and you might see it a lot too, is when a fullback or a winger, the ball's in the in goal, and you've just defended your butt off as a middle forward, and then the ball bounces. Instead of just grabbing it and having a crack and bringing it out, they just go tap and tuck. They hit it dead, or they carry the ball dead. When you just been tackling your butt off as a middle, you're 3, you're 4 sets deep, you're struggling, you're trying to do everything possible, and you got a fullback that just sits behind the line and just go, or a winger and just goes, whacks the ball out, and it's just effing have a crack. Just effing have a crack. You effing wingers, or you fullback, just do it. So you get a little bit frustrated, I reckon, Goran, especially as a middle forward, when your job is hard enough. Your job is hard enough. You've just got you're up and down. You're in the washing machine consistently. And then you've got sometimes guys that sit out wide, and then the cheek of them to always say, one set. You might see that on TV. They do the old one set, and I'm thinking, one set, we've just defended 4 sets and you've just hit the ball out and not have a crack. So I reckon I've sprayed a few wingers and fullbacks in my time about just not having a crack. The one thing, I get it, it's a tough job. I get it's a tough job, but I just want to see someone have a go. I don't care if you run back and get smacked, but I just want to see you have a go. And you know what? I saw a game, it was Newcastle Knights. Jack Cogger gets the ball from the end goal, and I'm thinking, please just run this ball back. He's run it out and he's dived on the line and got the ball out. And those are those things where you think you earn a little respect. You earn a little respect as a player, especially as a middle forward, and you see your halfback or your fullback or your wingers having a crack and getting their ball out. So I reckon I've sprayed a few wingers and fullbacks in my time.
But you're not willing to put a name to it?
No names. Okay. No names, because I've played with a lot of wingers and fullbacks.
Yeah, you have. I can think of some fairly prominent ones as well.
So I'm just like, mate. So that's a spray, I reckon. And a lot of forwards and the game, former forwards as well, would say the same thing, that all they want to see is someone have a crack. And I think you would see it in today's game at times.
Let's have a chat finally about what the Wars are doing, and they are sliding out of the top 4. That was confirmed at the end of round 23. And I want to have a look at the season in 2 stages at this point in time, Blairy, because before the round 15 bye, the Warriors were travelling beautifully. They had won 10 games and only lost 3. It was one of the best starts to a Warriors season in club history. Since that round 15 bye, they have 2 wins and 5 losses to their name. And you could make an argument it should just be 1 win and 7. If Leka Halasima doesn't do what he did against the Knights, that is a loss to your Newcastle Knights side. So that just encapsulates how bad this period has been for the Warriors. They've lost 3 in a row on the bounce. The Bulldogs' loss was probably the worst of the lot. It was a total disaster. How worried should Warriors fans be now that they sit outside of the top 4?
I think I said this last week on our episode, Goran. I kind of thought they'll finish in 5th after the weekend's games. And, man, to be honest, I don't think the Warriors have played good football for a little bit now. And you mentioned it. Lucky to get away with the Newcastle game. Yeah. Really highlighted the way or where they are right now with the individuals, injuries, leadership, and then coming up against a Titans team who they always have struggled against at home, and gave them a bit of a lesson again, and then come up against a top 2 side as in the Bulldogs, and pretty much put them in their place. Brought them literally back down to earth a little bit. I would be worried because I still don't think that fifth place is cemented for them, because there's some teams just below them fighting for a position. You got the Roosters sitting just outside the 8, and then you got the Dolphins, you got the Seagulls there as well. There's some quality sides just in between there, so they're in a bit of a tough position. I don't think they're playing well. And we've spoken about the injury toll, and I think the most important player, or two players for me again, and we've mentioned this before, is Wayde Egan and Luke Metcalf. Again, can't do anything about Luke Metcalf. He's injured, he's out. They haven't been able to find someone that can replace him and get the best out of the team in attack. They've tried with Tanah Boyd. Unfortunately for Tamari Martin with the concussion, he sees himself on the sideline for 11 days, and Tanah Boyd was taken out of the team last week, now back in the team. And they're looking for answers. And I don't know if they're going to get them with Tanah Boyd, hence why I feel like that's why they moved him out of there. And Tamari Martin, who we said is a starting half any day of the week and has a little bit of X factor about him. And that's the big difference. So I think the fans should be worried. And they're losing a little bit of depth in some key positions.
I feel like outside of the injuries that everybody has spoken about ad nauseum, the main thing that has derailed the Warriors is team selection. And you've made mention of the fact that, they're without a couple of members of their spine every so often when Wayde Egan's out, and Luke Metcalf's been out for a wee while now. And what Andrew Webster does with that team has largely affected the results in the last couple of months. And it's not just trying to find a solution for Luke Metcalf and whether Tanah Boyd's the right man or Tamari Martin. And if you've got Tamari Martin starting, well, who's the 14 on the bench? I think you can also extend it out to a few other positions in the back line, especially. Dallin Martinez-Zelezniak has been under fire for weeks on end for performances that just aren't befitting of what he was back in 2023. And then I think we mentioned it briefly last week. If you're finally going to relent and play Chance Nickel-Klukstar as a centre, then why have you been chucking Kurt Capewell in there as the Mr. Fix-It? Why not just keep him as the back rower and have Chance in at centre more regularly, more often, earlier in this period? This week, it's going to be tough because they've got a number of outs as well, and they come up against a pretty formidable Dragons outfit at the moment. They've beaten the Raiders and the Sharks in successive weeks. So even though they're a team outside the 8, they're scary. So they need to find a way to get past these guys and then wait for the cavalry to return again. This is the umpteenth time that we've spoken about it, but they get players back like Tamari, like Kurt Capewell through their protocols. And then maybe even Rocco Berry returns next week as well. So it sort of comes down to the team selection and what Andrew Webster's putting out there week after week.
They're not playing a brand of football that they were playing in that first half of the season that got them to where they are. For some reason, yes, we can say it all we like about injuries and stuff like that, but they are in the NRL. These are supposed to be their best players. And somehow, if you lose one, the system should take over, right? The system should take over those individuals. So it should be able to fit into a system that everyone excels. You can't rely on your X Factor players. If Luke Metcalf is your X Factor player and he's your 7, for him to be able to cover the whole season, you have to be ready if someone falls off and someone gets injured. This game is tough. So I don't think they've played a brand of football that they played in the first half of the season. Whether if I watch Tanah Boyd, who I think Smith got the better kicking game, but if he was good enough, he wouldn't have found himself out of the team last week. And, I feel like the Warriors outside backs, there is some, and in their edges, there is some X factor. You've got Lecker there. They're doing a good enough job for the middle of the park, but they're not being able to bring the players into the game, the players around them into the game. Whether it's purely because maybe Tanah doesn't have enough speed to get on the outside, or someone will challenge someone and put Lecker into the space, whether it's just giving Lecker early ball. I think sometimes early ball in the game of rugby league, a lot of the NRL players can defend really well now. So I don't think they're playing a brand of football that's really challenging the opposition. And hence why they're sitting where they are, or they're losing the games that they are, because I've spoken about this previously, score a lot of tries off kicks and a lot of tries around the middle of the park off Wayde Egan. And haven't seen that of late. They scored one up at Newcastle Knights. The Titans obviously beat them. The Bulldogs have beaten them. So I don't know where they find their points, and I don't know what style of football. It's been really safe. It's been really safe football for them. Kick to the corner, go down, tackle, put them in there. Hopefully they make a mistake. Try and get your game style on. If you can't attack inside the own 20, the Warriors, then where are you going to find your points?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree what you're talking about. It has been safe footy with Tanah Boyd at the helm. Great kicking game, long kicking game, but you need somebody who has a bit of X factor about them, like Luke Metcalf has proven to us in the first half of the season.
Tamaiti as well.
Yep, Tamaiti is the guy. And unfortunately, after 20 minutes against the Dogs, he takes a head knock, he sits down. I mean, it's my hope that regardless of what happens this weekend against the Dragons, if Tanah Boyd has a really good game, that's awesome. But in order to be winning games regularly, to unlock the X factor outside, you mentioned Leka Halasima, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Chance and Tane, unlock all of that X factor, you need somebody that's ball playing with X factor themselves. And so it's got to be Tamaiti Martin that comes back in the week after next. So the thing that I want to, because, I suppose people are going to say, oh, look, we're tearing them down, and maybe it's fair enough, but we need to come up with some positivity, and we need people to believe in this team and that they're going to get back to where they have been for the majority of this season, and that is inside the top four. It gives you a bit of a safety net in the finals, and I personally believe that they can get back there. You mentioned earlier the teams beneath them that are quite quickly and rapidly putting pressure on, but I still believe that it is just a one-on-one battle between the Warriors and the Panthers for that final top four spot. I think you can forget about the Raiders, forget about the Dogs and the Storm. They are locked and loaded as top four teams come finals, but that final spot is up for grabs, and it's either the Panthers and the Warriors who claims it. Now, the Panthers have a horrible, horrible run over the next 4 weeks. Yep, they're on the back of 9 straight wins, but in the next 3 weeks, they've got a grand final rematch against the Storm. After that, it's the Canberra Raiders, fresh off a bye at that point, and then the Bulldogs. They take on everybody in the top 3, and then they've got the Dragons. Now, for the Warriors, they don't play a team inside the top 8. We've been saying it till we're blue in the face. It's a soft run in. If they can get the team selections right, if they can get a number of players back that will bolster the squad and improve the squad and enable Andrew Webster to select the squad that he wants to, there is no reason they can't go on a run here. They play the Dragons, who sit 11th currently. The Titans are dead last. The Eels are 13th. The final game is against the Seagulls. They are 10th. These are winnable fixtures. And if I was a Warriors player and you look at those 2 runs, I'm putting my hand up for the Warriors' last 4 games, not the Panthers, Blairy.
Yeah, but in saying that too, Goran, the Titans don't want the wooden spoon.
No.
The Dragons want to get into the 8. The Seagulls are still competitive. They're still fighting for position.
And the Eels are fantastic.
And the Eels with Mitch Moses have
Different
gone
team.
up another gear. They have been measurably changed from where they first started to where they've gone. They're grown into something. Jason Riles is shaping them into a competitive team.
Yep.
So,
but this is it, mate. This is it. So the recent run where the Warriors were lucky to win 2 from their last 7, it means that these games, they look terrifying.
And like you said, they should be winnable, and they should be able to win these games. but that doesn't guarantee a win. And I think when I think about it, they're most probably the hardest games. Goran, they're most probably the hardest games. The team below you, and again, you're always playing for something in the game of rugby league. You're always playing for something. So even though they're below them, they are playing for something. The guys that are above them, say the Warriors, for example, they're playing for something. They're playing for a top 4 spot. The Penrith Panthers, even though that's a tough run, that's priming them. That's priming them for finals. They're playing against the 3 of the better teams in the competition, have been the 3 most consistent teams. They are priming themselves to be able to be battle hardened for finals.
To
finals
go for the
football.
5, Pete. See, I'm thinking of it as a negative, and you've turned it into a positive.
I would be licking my lips if I'm the Penrith Panthers because it's a challenge. It's a challenge for them to take, and you test yourself. And the week for the 3 games for them, it'll find out whether they're going to go all the way to the end and compete for finals. So the guys below the Warriors and who the Warriors play, yes, these are winnable games. But man, I would be worried. I would be worried. Dear. And again, as the Warriors, as players, the old cliche, it's one game at a time. It's what we can only control, what we can control. We've got to focus on us. It's our football. It's what we do that's going to get us the win. So that's what they will be saying, and that's what they'll be focused on. They can't foresee what's going to happen unless they get their jobs done on the day. Oh. And I find it harder than playing much with those better teams, Goran. If I think about it and I put myself in those similar positions, that I take those top teams as a challenge, and those ones below, you've got to turn up with the right mindset and the right attitude that you're the best player and the best team on the field on the day. So whatever you do from now until the weekend's game, as in the individuals for the Warriors and as a team and as coaches, you have to prep them for that game ahead. And man, these teams that they're playing aren't easy beats. They've been competitive.
All right, so I've been putting back in my box. Instead of having a one-on-one battle with the Panthers over the last 4 weeks, I feel like they're looking over their shoulder at the teams like the Broncos and the Sharks and the Roosters and the Dolphins to make sure that they stay in the 8 now. So let's have a look at the Broncos and the Sharks especially, because they are breathing right down their necks and who they come up against in the final 4 rounds. Now, the Broncos are going to be doing this without Adam Reynolds and Ezra Mam, who we all know ripped their hamstring within 10 metres of each other, within 3 seconds of each other the other day. The Broncos have the Dolphins, the Knights, the Cowboys, the Storm. So a couple of Queensland encounters, the Melbourne Storm, and a very difficult encounter with the Newcastle Knights as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, like you said it, Goran, and I said it earlier. Like every game, I feel like is a tough game. It doesn't matter, and we find it tough because we can't even pick winners.
No,
we can't even pick winners. So I feel like it doesn't matter where you sit on the table right now, and everyone wants to finish in the top 4, and so do the Warriors. But I just don't think it's that easy. Otherwise, they would be sitting there still. So with the competition that they play, with how physical it is, there's always going to be injuries. The biggest thing for every team is keeping their key players on the field. You just mentioned the two halves from the Brisbane Broncos, but the luxury that they have, the Brisbane Broncos, they got a 350 gamer nearly sitting in their stables who's can control a game, can do it. They got Katoni Staggs, they got Payne Haas, they got some of the most exciting, players in the competition in their team.
Reece Walsh, love him or hate him.
Reece Walsh. So they're not such in a bad position because still got quality in there. So the games that are coming up, man, this is the time you want to be playing, and then moving into the next competition, as in finals football. They're giving themselves a chance, Goran. They're a chance of playing finals football. Where they finish, it's going to end up on them. Yeah. It's going to end up on them as a club and as an individuals and as a team.
Just to bookend this segment, the Sharks, their run-in is, on paper, I know that every team is a hard team to play against, but on paper it looks a softish run because they've got Titans, a bye, the Knights, and the Dogs. So, yeah, like I would prefer that over what the Panthers have. But yeah, it's going to be a hell of a dogfight over the last 4 weeks to make sure that the Warriors either get back into the 4 or can just maintain their spot inside the 8, Blairy.
Yeah, well, like any Kiwi person, you want the Warriors to do well for the game to continue to grow in New Zealand, Goran. Have always been an admirer from afar as my journey as a young teenager coming through the NRL, because New Zealand is home. New Zealand is home for me, and they will always be home. And whatever our sport is, rugby league, if the Warriors do well for the country, if the Warriors do well, the kids back there want to be Warriors. They want to be Warriors, and you don't want to see everyone leave home, because rugby league is growing back home, and they're growing because the Warriors are doing so well. So for the game to keep going, for the pathways to continue to thrive, the country needs and the fans need the Warriors to continue to rise to the top and play finals football, because then every kid back home doesn't want to be an All Black. They want to be a Warrior, and they want to play for New Zealand as in the Kiwis. So for all the fans, we all want the Warriors to do well.
And they will this week, because Wayde Egan, even though he was ruled indefinite with a shoulder injury, he's back and he's starting against the Dragons. Now, I don't listen to Sport Nation. I wouldn't even know where to find it on a dial on the car radio. But I saw a story in my Facebook news feed, and it was talking about comments made by former All Black ISRAEL DAGG, who's on the breakfast show for Sport Nation. And he was saying that he's seen enough from Sam Healey to say that he's actually offering more than Wayde Egan has. Now, I'll read you the quote. "I think he offers a little bit more than Wayde Egan." Now, I chuckled at that, because you and I have spoken at length about how valuable Wayde Egan is for this New Zealand Warriors side. So much so that his early season form, we were raving about him getting selected for New South Wales Origin. And in hindsight, I wonder how good they would have been with Wayde Egan in the 9 jersey, or at least in the 14 coming off the bench, because they stuck with Reece Robson. Anyway, we're going over old ground. The point being, I don't know if on the back of a handful of first-grade appearances and only a handful of minutes, you can make a comment like that regarding Sam Healey over Wayde Egan. And I know what radio is like. I worked at Radio Sport, the now defunct Radio Sport, for 17 and a half years. And I know it's difficult to fill 2 or 3 or 4 hours of airtime, and you're prone to hyperbole, and you're prone to making outlandish statements, as I often do on League of Our Own podcast. But that, to me, is going off way too early on Sam Healey over Wayde Egan, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. We can't stop raving about Wayde and what his career has been like thus far, and the importance that he plays for the Warriors, and losing him, and what changes when they don't have him in the team. And I don't know Sam Healey as a person, Goran, but from what I've seen, he has potential to be a full-time consistent NRL player. I think his strengths, he's obviously a bigger body, he's a good defender, and runs on the back of quick play the balls. Wayde Egan's, when it comes to the passing game and the deception that Wayde has, I don't reckon there's too many players in the game, Api Coruscant, that has the deception in his passing game that Wayde Egan does, and the way that he can bring his forwards onto the ball and put them into positions to help the team be in a better position to be attacking or scoring tries. And I said it earlier, a lot of the tries of the Warriors this year have come from kicks or plays around the middle of the park the person that touches the ball the most in the game of rugby league is the hooker, and Wayde Egan has been a dominant force for the Warriors this year. So when it comes to comparing the two halves, the two nines, Wayde Egan's a fair way above, in my personal opinion, than Sam Healey right now.
And I would back your opinion over ISRAEL Dagg's any day of the week, because you're a former rugby league player, and I doubt whether ISRAEL Dagg watches most games. Look, I mean, yeah, as I say, on radio, you talk for 3 hours and maybe sometimes gobbledygook comes out, but I just couldn't stand for that, because Wayde Egan is a quality 9.
He's experienced in that position. He's played over 100 games. And Sam is still learning his craft. He's still learning his craft. And the things that we've seen Sam be able to do, he's an exciting young talent coming through.
No doubt.
But to compare him to Wayde Egan and say that he's better than Wayde Egan, I think is a false statement, because the evidence is in front of us. The evidence is in front of us, and if you go and compare both games and you look at stats and you look at how he can influence a game, I'm going to say Wayde Egan's got more influence right now than what Sam Healey is. But it's not a knock on Sam. I think he can get to those heights, but he's still a fair way off.
Yeah, and at the moment, and we said this last week, I think, Sam Healey at the moment, good backup option in the 9, and probably shaping as more of a 13/14, right? Somebody who could give Aaron Clark a breather if necessary. Big body, strong carry, a lot of energy through the middle of the park. So look, and this is no slight on Sam Healey. I'm not saying like he's a rubbish footballer. I'm just saying right now, Wayde Egan is miles ahead of the guy. And if ISRAEL Dagg's not going to be watching this, just like I wasn't listening to his radio show. But there you go, mate. I honestly think like just watch Wayde Egan a bit more closely, and you'll see how impactful he is for the Warriors on attack, and how he constructs try scoring opportunities.
And I think most of the Warriors fans would think the same, to be honest, Goran, that the importance of Wayde Egan, but then also think that yes, Sam Healey's got potential to get in there. But I think, like you said, I think he can definitely make it as a 13 to help Aaron Clark through there with just his ball playing ability. You know what I mean? Aaron Clark's must be not moving the ball enough as a 13. But man, he's got good energy, can run onto the ball, got good quick leg speed over the ad line, creating quick play of the balls. So I think maybe for the future, he could be a part of that 13 or in the middle of the park ball playing a little bit more.
So Wayde Egan comes in, and he will hopefully help us to a win against the Dragons on Friday night. A couple of other selection quandaries I want to bring up with you here and now, Blairy. In the coming weeks, there are going to be a number of players coming back into the side out of the casualty ward. So Kurt Capel's unavailable this week. He's going through his concussion protocols. The same with Tamari Martin. Rocco Berry is another guy who comes back. He's available in round 25. Now, poor old Rocco has had a rotten run over the last wee while with injuries. He's been in and out of the side like nobody else I can think of. He's at the moment one of the more injury-prone players. What do we do with Rocco Berry? Because if he's available and if he's fit and firing, he's probably a first-choice centre. But given his propensity to find an injury, what would you do with him in the final 3 weeks of the regular season? Do you rush him straight back into a centre position? What do you do with him?
I think at the moment they've got a couple of centres that are safe. Obviously, Chance plays fullback, but he's put himself in this. The coach has put him in the centres. I think that the best thing for Rocco is to most probably play a bit more New South Wales Cup. Get some confidence, get some reps in. They're going to play right deep into finals football. They've already wrapped up the minor premiership. So you got what they've done this year. And New South Wales Cup has been, second to none. They're miles ahead of the competition and what they've been able to do. So I think, I think that he should go he should go into the New South Wales Cup, get some confidence, get 3-4 games in, And when the time is right, if the Warriors are still in the hunt, then that's when you bring him in. You don't just chuck him straight in there because the speed of the game's quite fast, you know what I mean? So that's why I think sometimes go get some confidence from New South Wales Cup. Back your skill, back your ability, get yourself in those positions that you've found yourself in NRL level. When you're ready, the club will go, yep, sweet, you're in. Let's go, time to play. So I think that's the best way to start with Rocco Berry.
I like your thinking. I definitely support it. I would like to see Rocco Berry come through New South Wales Cup, but if Andrew Webster decides to go the other way and rushes him straight back in, I'm trying to figure out the thinking behind the other selection decisions. So Rocco goes into centre. You're not going to move Wets. Adam Pompey stays. So what do you do with Chance Nickel-Klukstar? Does he go back to fullback? What do you do with Taine Tuopiki, who's had a really good season, whether it be on the wing or at fullback? I think if you rush Rocco Berry back, it's the end for Dallin Watene-Zelezniak. That's the domino effect in this scenario, I believe. Chance, as we all know, is Andrew Webster's favourite fullback. I think he goes back and then Taine goes to the wing. But I'm more inclined to believe what you've said is more likely to play out, that because of his ability to find an injury, Rocco just needs to get a few reps under his belt before you start thinking about putting him back in first grade. The other one that we need to talk about, I think Kurt Capewell is, he comes back, he plays in the back row. Tamaiti Martin is the really fascinating one because we saw Andrew Webster reveal his hand somewhat with that Bulldogs selection, dropping Tanah Boyd and putting Tamaiti in the 7. Now, we said it earlier, if Tanah Boyd plays out of his skin, I feel as though he has to bring Tamaiti back because in the press conference he said that Tamaiti had been training the house down, he'd been performing on game day, he'd been doing everything that was asked of him. So Tamaiti should be the starting 7 in round 25, shouldn't he?
Yeah, I think he walks straight back in.
Yeah.
No matter if Tanah Boyd, plays his butt off, lights the house up, goes after it. They pump the Dragons. I think he still walks straight back into that side, because I just think when you think about finals football, you've got to play a style of football that's going to beat the opposition. And I don't think right now they've been playing that style of football. And I think someone like Tamaiti, and everyone, we love him. I know the fans love what Tamaiti brings to the game. And I speak about he's most probably got a little bit more speed than Tanah Boyd too. He can get on the outside. And 9 times out of 10, I think most of the time he picks the right option because he goes right to the line and he challenges the defensive line to make decisions. So I think he comes straight back in. And Tanah Boyd, like you said, I think, Webster showed his hand real early about leaving him out and putting him in New South Wales Cup, and then Tamaiti taking it in. And if he's training the house down, if he's doing everything right, and he's been sitting on the bench and covering most positions and doing a fair job at it as well, I think it's a reward for someone that's been persistent, that has been consistent with what he's doing, to be able to go out there and get a job done. And they're going to need someone like Tamaiti in the back end of the season to just light it up.
Give us a short answer then to this question before we get into Betcha This Happens. If Tamaiti comes back and plays the final 3 games of the regular season at halfback, do the Warriors make the top 4?
I think they stay 5th. Because I think that the Penrith Panthers keep pushing on.
Okay. All right. No, look, that's fine. I mean,
my honest opinion, Goran, I think they're good enough, but I just don't think they're going to get it, because I think the Panthers are primed to continue to keep thriving higher, and they just know how to win big games. And I think the Warriors will end up finishing in 5th position, which unfortunately doesn't give them the second chance, which unfortunately they play do or die. But the good thing about it, if they finish 5th, they get a home game to start off with. Yep. So that's a reward. That's still a reward. That's still a reward for the season that they've had. They just don't get the second chance.
Blairy, it's that time of the week, mate. Betcha This Happens. We're doing it for round 24. We've prattled on so long. I think just rapid fire is the best. This will be the most rapid fire Betcha This Happens in history. So here we go. Betcha This Happens for round 24. Panthers over Storm. Warriors over Dragons. Roosters over Bulldogs. Sharks over Titans. I've got the Broncos with Ben Hunt over the Dolphins. Eels to beat the Rabbitohs. The Tigers to beat the Manly Seagulls. And to round out my 8-leg multi, I've got the North Queensland Cowboys beating the Newcastle Knights. That is paying $62.64. As always, bet responsibly on the Betcha app. Blairy, your thoughts?
Roosters, Bulldogs. I'm excited for that one, Goran. Roosters, Bulldogs. I reckon that's the match of the week. So a tough bet, that one. But I think, it'll be a quality game. Come on, man. I reckon the Knights have got a chance to beat the Cowboys. But you've picked the Cowboys. So we're just going to stick with it, Goran. So I thought, rapid fire. That's what it was.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I mean, we're running short of time. But before we depart, grand final rematch, Panthers and the Storm.
That's another. There's a couple of good games. I think. And the rematch, most players available for Penrith Panthers. You know what I mean? I think there's a couple of people may be out, but man, anytime you get a grand final rematch against two quality sides that have competed at that grand final level, fireworks gone.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Hey, thank you so much for your time. As always, Blairy, it's fantastic to be in your company, even though we're divided by the Tasman Sea. For everybody who's watching and listening to League of Our Own, thanks so much for doing so. Make sure you like and subscribe to our network, our channels. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, and we're on the Adam Blair Network on YouTube, baby. How good is that?
Yeah, that's us, Goran. Like we said, come on. Become one of the family, and again, like I said at the top of our show, Goran, man, we are looking for sponsors to help and support us. Goran, best part of the week, man, get to chat rugby league with you, and for all our people listening, and thank you so much.